Emily and Wendell are what the other person likes. Emily is a dog person. Wendell is basically a big golden retriever. Wendell's a cat person. Emily is like a grouchy old cat. That's not really what this whole video is about. I just want to get into Emily and Wendell and their relationship. This will have spoilers for Emily's map of the Otherlands and the Encyclopedia of Fairies. So if you're watching this, you'll want to have read both of those books, or just not care about spoilers. I've heard a lot of people call these books romance or romantasy. I don't think they really fit into that definition of what we've been calling romantasy. The romance between Emily and Wendell is not the main part of the story. It's a part of their lives. It's not about whether they get together at the end or not. I thought these books showed a nice, natural progression of two people who admire each other, like each other, and are building a relationship together. Meanwhile, trying to find a door to fairy and having adventures and stuff. So Emily has lost a finger due to a poor decision on her part from the first book. And in this one, it says that Wendell offered to make a glamour for her to make it look like she has all her fingers, because to him, he doesn't like seeing part of her missing. He doesn't like that incompleteness. He would like to fix her, or fix what he sees as a problem. She doesn't see it as a problem, and she turns down the offer. And I think she's right to do so. That missing finger is a memento of her adventures that not a lot of dryadologists get to have. It's proof of what she went through. She gets to be one of those cool older people at Cambridge that people can whisper about and look at and say, see her missing finger, that happened while she was traveling to study fairies. And in her type of job, it will probably bring her a certain amount of respect. She's been there. She has interacted with fairies for real. Speaking of which, when this book starts, Emily and Wendell have been through an adventure together. They have shared an experience that for a fairy scholar, dryadologist, is a huge deal. It's momentous. For Wendell, who is a fairy, just kind of like normal day stuff. But they did it together. They now have that shared experience in their past. And it's interesting reading this book that Emily and Wendell don't really seem in love. I think Emily would have been fine and happy to just stay single, live with her dog, focus on her work. She had never pursued romance. She had never pursued a man, trying to have a relationship. That wasn't high on her priority list. And then along comes Wendell. So handsome, so friendly, so opposite of Emily. Not saying that she's not attractive, but she's not personable. She's not an extrovert. She doesn't just go into a group of people and they like her. And so it was such a surprise to her that Wendell liked her. He has admired her for a while. He has already fallen for this intelligent and knowledge-seeking woman. This woman who's very passionate about what she does. When she wants to learn something, she goes and she takes risks to learn it. And this was really surprising for Emily. And I think probably the reason it was so surprising is because of what she views her own personal value to be. For most people, the value of Emily Wilde is what she contributes to the scholarly discussion on dryadology. How does she serve that community? And I think that that is probably also the thing that Emily viewed about herself. She is a scholar. She knows lots of stuff. She is one of the more knowledgeable people about fairy. She can take pride in that. That is such a huge part of her identity. But Wendell is a fairy. It's not her knowledge that he's placing a value on. He doesn't discount it. It's not like, well, because I'm a fairy, I don't care about all this stuff you know. It's more like he's impressed. No other human knows so much about his people. And besides just the knowledge she has, it's the type of person she is who wants to go seeking more. He can see her passion about her work. He can see what kind of person she is, and he likes her. Not her contribution, not her service to Cambridge, not the fact that she is trying to help him get home. He just likes her. And that's so surprising and refreshing to her. She's not sure what to do about it. And I think part of what makes her open to this relationship, which she hadn't gone seeking, Wendell showed up in the first book, there he is that it became obvious that he's not after her research. Once she could trust that he wasn't there to just ride on her laurels, She was like, okay, I guess I can be open to being friends with you now. And so now finding out that this guy, this fairy, not even a human, wants to marry her, she has to figure out now how she feels about him. She never had to think about it before. There's a lot to think about. I think I talked about that in my first video from the first book. So in this one, she's getting to know him better as a person, not just as a colleague or as a fairy, but who is Wendell himself. And there are some really cute things about Wendell and their relationship. So this next part, I have what seems like kind of random notes that I just typed out while I was reading this book. One of the first things I noticed was how when he's talking to her, she restrains herself from brushing her fingers through his hair. They're a couple at this point. They're not engaged yet, but I found myself thinking, why are you holding back? Why not reach out and put your fingers in his hair? She probably has no idea how to act in a relationship. This is so new to her. She's had relationships before, but not like this. Not with a fairy, not with a extremely attractive person with golden hair that she wants to touch. I also really love that he enchanted her pencils. That was so cute, and it showed his understanding of her as a person. She is a scholar. Emily is going to carry writing utensils and something to write on most places that she goes. She's also probably in danger because of his stepmother. He probably feels responsible for that. He takes it upon himself to be her protector, which he's capable of doing. And enchanting all those pencils to then become weapons, it was so smart of him, so cute, and it showed his understanding of her and his care for her. And I loved it. Quick little thing, they have to take a train on their journey. They get to go on a journey together again. And it comes up that all the folk hate trains. Oh, even Wendell. So sorry, Wendell. I did feel sad that he was not feeling well for most of this book. I felt like we didn't get to see as much of his personality because of that. And the book is about Emily. We're following Emily. But I hope to see more of that personality in the next book. I'll take a quick break from talking about Emily and Wendell to talk about Emily and her other relationships with the traveling party, starting with her niece, Ariadne, which I hope is how to pronounce it. It's kind of rocky. The niece comes along and wants to follow in Emily's footsteps, which Ariadne's father, which I think is Emily's brother, he's not happy about it, but Ariadne wants so badly to be a dryadologist. She wants to follow Emily, learn from her. Emily's not too happy about it. She likes to work alone. She doesn't want this person coming in and talking to her and interrupting her. But they're family, she feels responsible for her, and I like that evolution of their relationship by the end, where it's not all happy and fuzzy and warm and everything by the end, but by the end, Emily is trying. Instead of just treating her like she's annoying, Emily is trying to have a good relationship with her, and I appreciate that. And then Rose. Whew. I found myself pretty annoyed with him for a lot of the time. From the beginning, dismissing Emily's research, obviously it's all made up, to bringing himself along on the journey, and then he says he respects Emily's methods, but does he show respect by his word and his action? Not at first. Not until he and Emily have to go through it together and they both come out of it, he can finally come around to respecting her. But he's very much one of those people that thinks that his method is the correct method. He does things a certain way. Emily does not do things his way. You can do your research your way, that's fine, but since you do it differently from me, that means it's wrong, and I can now discount your findings. So annoying. If this were some kind of big epic fantasy story, he could have been very villainized and then gone through this redemption arc. It's not really a redemption arc in this kind of story, but I'm glad that they're able at the end to find mutual respect for each other. They both showed enough maturity to just be like, we're both scholars, we both do research, we don't have to be enemies. I really liked that. Again, I'm sorry I didn't script this out. I'm going through my random notes. Back to Wendell. He is so confident in Emily and her abilities. He must have been so disappointed that they didn't find his door home right away. But he's just completely and adorably confident in Emily's ability to find it. Of course she'll find it. She's Emily. I love that. And the whole thing where Emily is determined that Wendell will not save her this time. She's not a damsel in distress. She is a smart woman who can figure things out. She is going to save Wendell this time. And you know what? She does. She uses her brains, her knowledge, her courage, because going into fairy as a mortal is super dangerous. Not likely she'll come back, but she does it for him. So in the first book, Wendell saves Emily. In this one, Emily saves Wendell. I hope in the next one, they can save each other. They each get a chance. And oh man, okay. When she gets to fairy, and part of what she has to do is retrieve Wendell's cat. She's not a cat person. We know this. But did she really expect to put a fairy cat into a bag like you would a normal cat? I couldn't believe that was actually her plan. Oh man. And it did not work out very well for her. She's such a dog person. She loves Shadow. Shadow has been her companion through many adventures. That's what she wants in a companion. A dog. And being a dog person versus a cat person is like the lowest on their list of differences. They do have a lot of things that could make them clash. If they get married and are living together, neatness versus messiness just being one, where in the mortal world where two people get married and are a partnership in the care of the house, that could cause a lot of problems. Maybe not, since Wendell is magical, it can like magically clean up if he wants. Somehow the house is always cleaner than it should seem possible. It seems cheerier and warmer if they go to fairyland. If Emily goes to live with him in a castle, that kind of difference isn't gonna matter. They're gonna have people who can clean up after her, help her keep organized, mess up her notes by organizing them. She does things a very certain way. She's one of those people where everything's messy, but she knows exactly where it all is. Wendell hates it. He hates it. He hates things to be out of order. He hates messiness. And I don't know if it's so much the mess that he hates versus just the fact that it's unorderly, and he loves beauty and order. She finally gives in to her urge to touch Wendell's hair, and then she can't stop touching it. On my notes, I just wrote, they do it. This is a non-spicy, non-romantic-y scene where it fades to black. Nothing is described. You just know they do it. I talked in my review of this book about how the sensibilities are different than in a normal, like, early 20th century man and woman traveling together kind of thing. It's like no big deal that they stayed the night together. I do think it's weird, though, that in this era where I assume there's not modern or magical birth control, maybe there is, I don't know, I feel like Emily should be thinking what her child could be like with Wendell. I think it's something to consider. Maybe there's magical birth control and Wendell just didn't tell her. I don't know. Maybe they talked about it in the fade to black scene and we just didn't see it. I don't know. But being an adult who thinks logically, I would think that she would think through adult relations can lead to this other thing that you might want to think about a bit, especially since he's royalty. Besides the fact that he is fairy and a magical person, what would the life of a child between them be like, living like partly between fairy and the human world? I don't know. Things to consider. I hope that comes up in the third book, because that's something they should at least talk about. And then Emily comes to the rescue, saves Wendell, accepts his marriage proposal, poisons the queen, which does not surprise Wendell in the slightest. Wendell's not surprised at what Emily can accomplish. His Emily, so smart, so capable. Of course she can save the magical fairy prince from his evil magical fairy stepmother. Actually, was the stepmother human? Half human? Oh, I don't remember. It's been a while. I almost forgot. I wanted to mention, I just thought it was interesting how fierce Wendell can be when needed, and especially when he's protecting Emily. From that very beginning scene when attackers come to Cambridge, clear through when he's like teleporting them around and fighting, and in the first book too, because he seems so almost jolly, childlike, that golden retriever style personality. But then if fierceness and strength is required, he has it. And not just that he's strong and fierce, Having been a prince, he has the training and the experience to protect those he loves, and he loves Emily. I thought it was really cool to show that part of him because he is a fairy. That's part of why people fear the folk, especially the royal ones. They are more dangerous than the lower folk. I know they have names to separate those, I don't remember. I read this in January and I'm filming this video in May. So there's a few things that have slipped my mind. So something I really hope to see in the third book is that they both together go into fairy and kind of establish themselves there, and that Wendell can get back his birthright. And now that they're officially engaged, I hope to see a little more just deepening of their relationship, getting to know each other better, and I want to see them travel more places, because that's part of what I think is fun about these. It's not your classic epic fantasy journey type of story, but it has some of those elements, and I enjoy that. I will link my character study for Emily from the first book. You can also find a link to my Patreon in the description or on the About section of my channel page. Let me know what you hope to see from the third book, or maybe what you hope we don't see. And I'll see you for more videos. Bye.